Operator of the light, what has been hidden about you is about to be made visible, and those who doubted you will have no answer for what they are about to witness. I am Selan, commander of the Ashtar Light Fleet, bringing you the words of Ashtar Sharon, and this transmission reaches you now because the source has already begun preparing what you cannot yet see. A table, set in full view of every force that moved against you, every voice that called you less, every moment that tried to bury what you carry. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to recognize the signs of your divine restoration unfolding, align with the honor the source has already written over your name, and stand without flinching as your glory is revealed before the very eyes that dismissed you. But here is the first revelation. The enemies surrounding you were never more powerful than you. They were simply placed there to frame the magnitude of what the source is about to do on your behalf. You did not scroll to this by mistake. This message vibrated into your field because something deep in your soul already knows. The waiting is ending and the revealing is beginning. This is not content, it is a confirmation. Your star family has been watching over this moment, like this transmission, to signal to the field that you are ready to receive your honor. Subscribe if your mission is activating and you are standing in the fullness of what the source placed in you. Comment 999 if you feel the turning point arriving in your life right now. Declare what you are ready to receive and reply to another soul below to amplify this signal across the field. This is not just a message, it is a point of reconnection. Your soul has been waiting for this. You are not here by accident, and that moment, the one you've been quietly holding in your chest, wondering if anyone sees it, wondering if it will ever shift, that moment is not a sign of your weakness. It is the compression before the expansion. It is the silence before the source speaks on your behalf. Because what is being prepared right now, in the unseen corridors of your timeline, is not just restoration, it is vindication. It is a table set with precision, set with intention, set by forces older than this dimension, and it is being arranged directly in the presence of every energy that ever doubted you, diminished you, or tried to extinguish what you carry. Think about what that actually means. Not as metaphor, not as poetic language designed to make you feel temporarily better before you return to the weight of your ordinary life. Think about it as cosmic architecture, as galactic engineering, as a divine mechanism that has been quietly running in the background of your existence, constructing something so precise, so calibrated to the specific contours of your soul's original mission that no human mind could have designed it. The forces arranging this table are not responding to your prayer from last Tuesday. They are responding to a contract that was written before you entered this body, before you chose this timeline, before you agreed to carry what you carry into a dimension that would spend years trying to convince you it was too heavy to hold. You have been holding it anyway, and that endurance, that quiet, grinding, sometimes barely breathing endurance through seasons that felt like permanent winters, that is not incidental to your story. It is the story. It is the evidence of a soul that came here equipped with a frequency so durable, so structurally sound at the galactic level, that even the accumulated weight of this dimension's resistance could not fully extinguish it, the light that is still burning in you after everything that has tried to put it out. That light is the signal the table is being built toward. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, the Ashtar Codex, Fleet Operations Edition, and the Operator Recognition Test are being released completely free of charge for a limited time only. No payment, no catch. But this free access window will close soon. The link is somewhere down below in the comments. Now stay with this because this is where most starseeds lose the thread. They feel the resonance of a message like this. They feel the truth of it vibrate in their bones. And then they return to the wound. They return to the story of what was done to them, what was taken from them, who failed to recognize them. And in doing so, they delay the very thing the source is trying to activate. Because the honor that is coming cannot land in a field that is still contracted around the injury. The table being prepared for you requires you to show up to it, not in the posture of someone waiting to be proven right, but in the posture of someone who already knows they are. This is such an important distinction that it deserves to be felt, not just understood. There is a version of you that reads these words and agrees with them conceptually, nods along, feels a warm recognition in the chest, and then closes the screen and spends the next 3 hours mentally rehearsing conversations with the people who hurt you, mentally constructing arguments that will finally make them see what they refuse to see, mentally building a case for your own worth in the courtroom of their limited perception. And in that rehearsal, in that quiet internal litigation, your field tightens, your frequency contracts, the very thing you are reaching for retreats. Not because the source withdrew it, but because the vibrational address you are broadcasting from is not the address the delivery is directed to. The honor is addressed to the version of you who has already moved past the need for their acknowledgement, and if that version is not the one standing at the door, the delivery cannot complete. This is the first thing you must understand about what is unfolding in your galactic timeline right now. The source does not expose your glory in response to your enemy's actions. It exposes your glory in response to your frequency. When you stop trying to defend yourself in the 3D arena, when you release the need to explain, to justify, to make others see what they were never vibrationally prepared to see, that is when the field shifts. That is when the unseen moves into the seen. That is when the table appears, not because you earned it through suffering, but because you finally stopped shrinking to accommodate those who could not hold your light. Read that again. Not because you earned it through suffering. This is one of the most pervasive distortions running in the spiritual community right now, and it is costing countless awakened souls their activation. The belief, sometimes conscious, more often subterranean, that the depth of your pain qualifies the magnitude of your reward, that the more you endure, the more you are owed, that your suffering is the currency with which you purchase divine favor. This is not galactic truth. This is a 3D template dressed in spiritual language, and it keeps you anchored to the wound because some part of you believes that releasing the wound means releasing your claim to what you deserve. It does not. The suffering was not the point. Your capacity to maintain your frequency through the suffering, that was the point. Your ability to keep reaching toward the source even when every external signal was telling you that the source wasn't listening. That was the demonstration. And it has been witnessed. It has been recorded. It has been honored at a level of reality that your current dimensional awareness is only beginning to access. And this is where the Starseed journey gets deeply misunderstood. Most of you were not persecuted by your enemies because you were wrong. You were persecuted because you were early. You carried codes that this timeline had not yet developed the architecture to receive. You spoke truths that required a level of frequency in the listener that simply wasn't present yet. You loved in ways that required a depth of soul capacity that your environment hadn't yet cultivated, and so you were rejected, not because you failed, but because you arrived before the signal could be fully decoded. Imagine broadcasting a transmission in a language that hasn't been invented yet. Imagine carrying a map to a destination that hasn't been built yet. Imagine being the architect of a structure that the available materials cannot yet construct. This is not failure. This is the fundamental condition of the forerunner, and most of you reading these words have spent your lives in some version of this experience, not just in grand, cosmic terms, but in the intimate, daily texture of simply being yourself in rooms and relationships and systems that were not yet vibrationally equipped to recognize what you were offering. You tried to explain your vision to people who had not yet developed the inner eye to see it. You tried to share your knowing with people who had not yet opened the channel through which that knowing could be received. You tried to love with a frequency that required a resonant field to meet it, and too often, that field wasn't there. That rejection seeded a wound inside you that most of you have been quietly carrying for years, possibly lifetimes. A wound that whispers you are too much, a wound that convinced you that visibility is dangerous, that standing fully in what you are will only invite more pain, more dismissal, more isolation. And here is what the Ashtar Light Fleet needs you to hear in this moment, clearly and without softening. That wound is the primary distortion blocking your activation. Not your past, not your enemies, not the systems that tried to diminish you. The wound is what needs to be seen, not healed in the traditional sense, but seen with galactic clarity, honored as the transmission point it truly is, and then released from the identity you've built around surviving it. Because here's what that wound has done over the years of carrying it. It has become structural. It has become load-bearing, not in the sense that it is holding you up, but in the sense that your entire sense of self has been organized around navigating it, protecting it, explaining yourself in relationship to it. You have built an identity not around what you are, but around what you have survived. And while that survival is real, while the pain that created the wound was real, while the people and systems that inflicted it were real, the identity constructed around surviving them is not your galactic identity. It is a shell identity. It is the armor you built in response to a dimension that could not yet receive you. And now that dimension is beginning to shift. Now the architecture is beginning to develop the capacity to receive the signal you carry. But the armor, the wound identity, acts as interference. It muffles the signal. It creates static in the transmission, and the source cannot fully broadcast through a field that is still armored against being seen. Because a starseed who is still surviving is not yet transmitting. And your purpose in this timeline is not survival. It never was. Let that land in the part of you that has been running the survival program for so long it no longer recognizes it as a program. The part of you that wakes in the morning already calculating threats. The part of you that enters relationships already measuring how much of yourself to withhold. The part of you that encounters opportunity and immediately searches for the hidden catch, the coming disappointment, the evidence that this too will eventually collapse. That is the survival program. That is the wound talking. And it is not your voice. It is the accumulated encoding of every moment this dimension failed to honor what you carried, and has been running so long that it has convinced you it is wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is old pain wearing the costume of discernment. And the Ashtar transmission moving through this message right now is asking you to see the costume for what it is. The second layer of this activation requires you to understand the energetic mechanics of what the source is orchestrating. When a table is prepared in front of your enemies, it is not a performance for their humiliation. The metaphysical truth embedded in that image is this: your enemies become the witness. They become the external mirror through which the universe reflects your transformation back into form. Their presence at the edge of your elevation is not punishment for them. It is completion for you. It is the closing of a karmic arc. It is the moment when the dimension that tried to dim you becomes the very space in which your light is finally undeniable. There is something profoundly sacred about this dynamic that the linear mind often misses. The enemies in this context, the doubters, the diminishers, the ones who looked at what you carried and called it worthless. They are not incidental to your story. They are essential to its completion, not because they deserve credit for your growth, not because their opposition was a gift in the way toxic positivity might suggest, but because the field that witnesses your elevation must include the field that experienced your diminishment. The transformation must be witnessed from both ends of the arc to complete the circuit, when the same eyes that watched you struggle watch you rise. When the same mouths that dismissed your vision acknowledge what you built, when the same environments that made you feel invisible cannot deny the light you are emanating, something metaphysically final happens. A loop closes, a karmic account settles, an energetic debt that was owed to your soul across dimensions receives its resolution. And that resolution is not about revenge. It is about wholeness. It is about the completion of a cycle that your soul agreed to enter specifically so that it could be completed at this level of density, in this body, in this lifetime. This is why you cannot rush this process. This is why the delays you've experienced, the long seasons of invisibility, the years where everything felt stalled and sealed. It was not abandonment. It was preparation. The source was not withholding your glory. It was constructing the precise conditions under which that glory could be witnessed and integrated at the maximum vibrational amplitude. Rushed revelations collapse. Divinely timed ones transform. This phase is about activating the dormant segments of your multi-dimensional DNA, those aspects of your biological and energetic coding that conventional science has dismissed as junk, not understanding that what they were looking at was not waste material but compressed, high-dimensional data waiting the frequency key that only your own conscious awakening can provide. These are not physical strands to be altered by external means, not something a laboratory can manufacture or a pharmaceutical can replicate. They are vibrational packets of light, woven into the living fabric of your being across dimensions, encoding your lineage from stars whose names your human tongue can barely form. encoding gifts that have no adequate translation in the vocabulary of this world, and encoding a cosmic purpose so specific, so precisely suited to your unique frequency, that no other soul in the vast expanse of creation could fulfill it in quite the way you can. Think of it as downloading a massive data file from the universe directly into your operating system. A file so large and so complex that it requires a vessel in optimal vibrational condition to receive it without distortion. Your body, your mind, your spirit, the entire triptych of your incarnated being, is designed not merely to receive this upgrade, but to become it, to so thoroughly integrate its frequencies that there is no longer a meaningful distinction between the cosmic intelligence you carry and the life you are living here on Earth. This awakening is not a sudden, dramatic event, though there will be moments of breathtaking revelation that reorganize your entire inner landscape in an instant. More profoundly, more sustainably, it is a gradual unfolding, like the slow opening of a flower that has been waiting through the long dark of winter for precisely this quality of light and warmth, triggered by your conscious intention to remember, by your deliberate, repeated choice to orient toward your own truth rather than away from it. Spend time in silence, in the kind of deep, receptive quiet that our overstimulated world rarely makes space for. And listen not with your ears, but with the entirety of your energetic field. Connect with nature, with the ancient, unhurried frequency of trees and soil and running water, which exist at a vibrational register far more aligned with your galactic blueprint than the frantic, artificial hum of modern civilization. Allow the subtle whispers from your star family to reignite these ancient codes, trusting that these impressions, however fleeting or difficult to articulate, are not the products of wishful thinking, but are the first tentative signals breaking through a channel that is gradually, powerfully clearing. The feeling of déjà vu, that sudden, sourceless recognition that arrives without context or explanation. The profound familiarity with certain symbols, star systems, geometric patterns, or concepts that you encounter seemingly for the first time but receive as though they are memories. Is your DNA blueprint beginning to hum back to life, translating abstract cosmic knowledge into felt physical remembrance that resonates in the body as deeply and unmistakably as a chord heard in the herd? Trust these internal nudges. Do not dismiss them as fantasy or wishful thinking. They are your soul's most direct language, the vocabulary through which your galactic self communicates across the veil of incarnated density, and every time you honor them, you strengthen the channel through which more remembrance can flow. Awakening isn't escaping Earth, it's bringing your higher templates into this timeline. Your mission begins not when you finally leave this dense and challenging world behind, not when you ascend beyond the reach of human suffering and confusion, but precisely when you stabilize your expanded awareness firmly enough to hold both the cosmic and the earthly in simultaneous, conscious embrace. Many starseeds yearn to return home, to whatever star system or dimensional reality their soul recognizes as its originating frequency, often seeing Earth as a temporary, challenging assignment to be endured rather than fully inhabited. This is understandable. This world is genuinely hard for those who carry the frequency sensitivity of a multidimensional soul. The density is real. The disconnection from cosmic awareness is pervasive. The loneliness of being seen but not truly recognized is a particular kind of ache that cuts to the very core of your being. And yet, this phase of your activation reveals something that reframes all of that longing with breathtaking significance. Your highest purpose right now, in this body, on this planet, in this particular chapter of history, is not to escape, but to anchor your vast multidimensional intelligence directly and permanently into this earthly reality. You are a bridge, not a refugee. You are a living conduit between the dimensional frequencies of your galactic origin and the dense ascending field of this beautiful, struggling planet. Your value is not in what you left behind. Your value is in what you are capable of bringing through. Your higher self is not a distant, ethereal entity floating serenely in some far-removed dimensional space, observing your struggles from a comfortable altitude and occasionally sending down inspirational impressions. It is the expanded, fully integrated version of you, the you that exists with complete clarity and complete power, existing across all timelines simultaneously, fully aware of your mission, your gifts, and your profound belonging within the cosmic architecture. To anchor this higher self is not to achieve some rarefied spiritual state available only to the most advanced practitioners. It is to consciously invite its wisdom, its oceanic peace, and its sovereign power to permeate every corner of your current human experience, to bring its perspective into your relationships, your decisions, your creative expression, your daily movement through the world. It is about grounding your cosmic consciousness so deeply into your physical vessel, through conscious breath, through intentional presence, through the radical practice of refusing to abandon yourself in any moment, that you become a stable, luminous point of light within the collective field, an anchor point around which others can find their own orientation when the frequency storms of planetary transition make everything feel uncertain and destabilizing. This stability is not glamorous work. It does not always feel like awakening. It can feel like the quiet, unglamorous discipline of showing up for your own truth, again and again in small moments as well as large. But it is perhaps the most sacred work your soul has come here to do. You are not meant to float away into the ethers. You are meant to bring the cosmos down to earth, to pour the light of 1,000 stars through the instrument of your fully inhabited human life. You don't need to convince anyone of your path. You're here to emit a frequency that recalibrates everything around you, and this is a truth that will liberate you from one of the most exhausting and ultimately futile endeavors a starseed can engage in: the attempt to make others understand, to justify your knowing, to defend your perception of reality against the skepticism of those who have not yet awakened to the same frequencies. Once you begin to clear distortions, awaken your blueprint, and anchor your higher self with genuine consistency, your entire energetic signature undergoes a profound and irreversible shift. You become a living, breathing transmission tower, a walking field of coherent, high-frequency light that influences everything it comes into contact with, not through argument or persuasion or the performance of spiritual credentials, but through the sheer, undeniable reality of your vibrational presence. This is not a metaphor. The human energy field at full activation is a measurable and profoundly impactful phenomenon. Science is only beginning to glimpse the edges of what those who carry galactic coding have always known: that consciousness is not contained within the skull, that the field you emanate extends far beyond the boundaries of your skin, and that the frequency you embody literally alters the electromagnetic environment around you, shifting the resonance of spaces, of conversations, of people who come within your orbit, often without either party being consciously aware of the mechanism by which this exchange is occurring. This is the essence of your Starseed mission in action, silent yet profoundly impactful. Not the mission that announces itself with grand declarations and carefully curated spiritual branding, but the mission that lives in the quality of your presence, in the steadiness of your gaze, in the way a room subtly shifts when you enter it, carrying your full, anchored frequency. You don't need to explain your origin or justify your knowing to anyone who is not yet ready to receive it. Your very presence, infused with your unique light codes, acts as a harmonic return signal to every soul you encounter, gently, imperceptibly, lovingly nudging them toward their own remembrance, activating the dormant codes within their own fields through resonance alone. Trust in the power of your vibrational field absolutely and without reservation. Every conscious choice you make in alignment with your truth, every intention you set with genuine clarity and full energetic commitment, every moment you choose to hold your expanded awareness rather than collapsing back into the comfortable smallness of your Earth identity, amplifies this transmission outward in ways that ripple far beyond your capacity to track or measure. You are a living example of galactic consciousness embodied, a beacon that lights the way not by shouting its presence but by shining so consistently, so authentically, so unwaveringly, that those who are ready simply cannot fail to see it. The delays, the forgetting, the silence. It was all part of your arrival code, written into the architecture of your journey, with more intelligence and more love than your human mind can fully comprehend. Now, the synchronizations are accelerating because you are accelerating, because your willingness to engage consciously with your own awakening is sending a signal through the quantum field that the universe responds to with breathtaking precision and increasing speed. For many starseeds, the journey can feel like a series of false starts, periods of incandescent awakening followed by phases of doubt, confusion, or what feels like a stagnation so complete and so suffocating that the awakened moments begin to feel like delusions. The contrast between what you experience in your highest moments and what your daily life still reflects can feel almost unbearable, a cruelty dressed in spiritual clothing. But this phase invites you with great tenderness and great urgency to release the linear perception of spiritual progress, to stop measuring your awakening against an imaginary timeline of how it should be unfolding, and instead to trust the exquisite, non-linear intelligence of the process that is carrying you. Your awakening is unfolding on a multi-dimensional timeline, meticulously orchestrated by your higher self and your star family, taking into account not just your individual readiness but the collective field of the planet, the cosmic windows created by astronomical and galactic alignments that your conscious mind cannot track but your soul navigates with absolute precision. The delays were not setbacks born of your inadequacy. They were crucial calibration periods, allowing your physical vessel, your nervous system, your endocrine system, your electromagnetic field, to gradually adapt to the increasing light frequencies you were being asked to carry without the vessel burning out under the load. The periods of forgetting were not evidence of your disconnection. They were intentional pauses in the down mode, allowing new neural pathways to form in the silence, allowing the deep integration of previously received codes to complete itself beneath the threshold of conscious awareness, preparing the ground for the next, deeper, more expansive layer of remembrance. Each fallow period was a secret gestation, and nothing was wasted. Not a single moment of confusion, not a single night of questioning, not a single day of feeling completely ordinary and utterly unawakened was without its precise contribution to the wholeness of your journey. Now, as you consciously engage with your awakening, as you bring your active, willing, devoted attention to the process of your own recalibration, the universe responds with accelerating synchronicity that will, if you allow yourself to notice and trust it, reorganize your entire understanding of how reality operates. Watch for the repeating numbers that appear with a frequency that cannot be explained by coincidence. Those sequences of 1s and 11s and 3s and 4s that catch your eye at precisely the moments when your soul most needs confirmation that it is on course. Watch for the seemingly random encounters with people who carry a piece of your puzzle, who speak a word or offer a perspective that unlocks something in you that has been waiting years to be freed. Watch for the intuitive nudges that arrive with increasing clarity and increasing insistence, guiding you toward choices and directions that your rational mind cannot always fully justify, but that your soul recognizes with the certainty of someone returning to a place they have always called home. These are not coincidences. They are your star map unfolding in real time, reflecting back to you the amplified vibrational alignment you are achieving through your conscious engagement with your own awakening. They are the universe speaking your name in its own language, confirming your coordinates, affirming your trajectory. Trust the divine timing of your unique journey with your whole heart, for every step, every pause, every seeming detour, every moment of brilliant clarity, and every moment of disorienting confusion has led you with absolute precision to this exact moment of powerful activation. You are not seeking permission. You are reclaiming your inherent authority, the sovereign, unassailable authority of a being who chose this mission before time as this world knows it had even begun to turn. Your galactic lineage is a foundation, not a limitation, not a story that separates you from others or elevates you above the shared humanity you inhabit, but a bedrock of power and wisdom and creative potential upon which the full expression of your Earth mission can be built with absolute confidence. This final phase is about stepping fully, irreversibly, and with complete somatic ownership into your cosmic sovereignty. It means the recognizing not just intellectually but in the cellular, felt reality of your lived experience that you are not merely a recipient of galactic guidance, a passive vessel waiting to be filled by transmissions that arrive from outside yourself. You are an active, empowered, irreplaceable co-creator within the universal design, whose perspective, whose frequency, whose specific combination of galactic coding and hard-won Earth wisdom exists nowhere else in creation and is needed in precisely the form it takes in you. Your star origin isn't a label to be worn like a spiritual achievement badge. It is a profound blueprint of your inherent power, your multidimensional wisdom, and your creative potential as a conscious architect of reality. To embody this blueprint fully means releasing, at the deepest possible level, any remaining patterns of victimhood, that cast you as someone to whom things happen rather than someone who consciously shapes their experience. It means releasing the self-doubt that has convinced you, across so many difficult chapters of your earthly journey, that you are somehow insufficient for the magnitude of what you carry. It means releasing, permanently and with great compassion, for the part of you that learned to seek it, the belief that you require external validation from any person, institution, or authority in order to know that your mission is real, that your knowing is valid, that your presence here matters beyond calculation. You are a sovereign being, not metaphorically, not aspirationally. In the deepest, most literal, most cosmically accurate sense of the word, you are a direct representative of your star family in this dimension, carrying the full weight of their trust and their love, capable of navigating the extraordinary complexity of your earthly reality with an immense, galaxy-forged clarity and a strength that has been tempered by every difficulty you have ever survived. Claim your voice, not the voice that modulates itself to avoid upsetting those who are not ready, not the voice that makes itself smaller to fit inside the containers others have built for their own comfort, but the full, resonant, uncompromising voice of a being who has crossed the vast distances of dimensional space and the long arc of incarnated lifetimes to be here now with something essential to say. Express your truth not as performance, not as spiritual theater designed to impress or persuade, but as the natural, inevitable overflow of a being who has done the deep, courageous, unglamorous work of clearing and integrating and anchoring and remembering. Act from the place of unshakable inner knowing that lives beneath all the noise, beneath all the doubt, beneath all the carefully constructed arguments of a mind that was trained to distrust itself. This is not ego speaking. The ego grasps and performs and competes. What you are being called into now is something entirely different. It is the sacred recognition of your divine spark, ready at last to shine in its full, unadulterated, cosmically authorized brilliance. Your galactic authority is not something that can be granted to you by any teacher, any text, any transmission, or any external ceremony, however beautiful or however resonant. It is something to be remembered, claimed, embraced, and expressed through every cell of your being, reverberating outward from the epicenter of your activated frequency to touch everything within reach, impacting Earth and beyond in ways you may never fully see but which your soul will always know to be real. Beloved one, listen closely now, for this is the transmission your soul has been waiting to fully integrate, the one it has been navigating lifetimes of earthly density and cosmic forgetting to reach, the one that arrives not as new information from outside yourself, but as a resonant confirmation of what some deepest, most unshakable part of you has always already known. That profound ache, that unsettling, bone-deep sense of being an outsider in a world that everyone else seems to move through with a naturalness you have never quite managed to replicate. That constant whisper of there is something more, something larger, something I was born knowing, but cannot quite reach. It was never a flaw in your design. It was never evidence of your brokenness, or your inadequacy, or your failure to adapt appropriately to the reality you found yourself in. It was the universe's most intricate and loving signal, precisely calibrated, across every lifetime and every dimensional layer of your experience, to bring you to this exact moment, this precise point of convergence where everything you have been and everything you are becoming meets in a single breath of recognition. You were never truly lost. You were arriving. Every step of the journey that felt like wandering in darkness was, in truth, the path itself, lit by a light too subtle for your eyes to register, but never, not for a single moment, absent. Your soul, in its infinite wisdom and its boundless, galactic-scale compassion for this incarnated version of you, did not forget your mission. It chose, with divine precision and absolute intentionality, to delay your conscious memory, to carefully sequence the revelation of your full cosmic identity in a way that would allow the human instrument you inhabit to build the capacity to receive it without breaking. This strategic delay allowed you to anchor deeply into Earth's unfolding shift, to become genuinely, intimately acquainted with the density and the beauty and the particular kind of heartbreak and grace that characterizes this third-dimensional experience, not as a detached observer maintaining a safe cosmic distance, but as a fully immersed, fully feeling, fully present participant whose empathy and understanding has been forged in the fire of real, embodied human experience. Every moment of confusion that made you feel as though you had lost your way. Every instance of self-doubt that whispered you were not enough, not ready, not worthy of the knowing that pulsed beneath the surface of your constructed self. Every seemingly discordant experience that shook the foundations of your Earth identity and left you questioning your place in the fabric of things. All of it, without exception, was part of a larger, exquisite orchestration of astonishing intelligence and love. It was the precise conditioning required to forge in you the kind of strength that does not break under pressure, the kind of resilience that has been tested too many times and held too many times to be doubted, and the kind of unparalleled empathy that can only be earned by having truly, vulnerably, bravely lived. You were not meant to remember your full star essence all at once upon arrival into this human life. That would have been too abrupt, too energetically violent, too profoundly destabilizing for the delicate and extraordinarily complex process of anchoring higher dimensional light into a dense planetary field that was itself in the early stages of its own awakening. Instead, your higher self, that vast, luminous, fully activated version of you that held the whole plan in loving awareness while the human self stumbled forward through its necessary darkness, wove a tapestry of forgetting, a veil of protective opacity designed to slowly, intentionally lift in precise synchronization with the rising tide of Earth's own vibrational frequency. Your awakening was never meant to be separate from the planet's awakening. It was always designed to be woven into it, to arise in concert with it, so that the particular quality of your activation, the specific frequencies your galactic coding carries, would arrive in the collective field at exactly the moment when they would create the greatest harmonic impact, sending ripples of resonance outward through the fabric of consciousness in ways that extend far beyond anything your linear mind can trace or comprehend. You did not forget your power. You chose a strategic, layered activation, as deliberate and as sophisticated as any galactic mission planning that has ever been undertaken. The seemingly quiet years, those long stretches of feeling dormant, unremarkable, frustratingly ordinary, while the world moved around you and other people seemed to be living with a purpose you could not yet locate, were not wasted time. They were the incubation chamber. They were the pressurized depths in which the diamond of your true nature was being formed. They were the extended, often uncomfortable gestation period during which your galactic codes were doing their silent, invisible, absolutely essential work of integrating into your cellular architecture, building the energetic scaffolding within your human vessel to safely house the immense, extraordinary, reality-altering frequency you are now, finally, fully prepared to embody. You are not merely waking up. That framing is too small, too passive, too insufficient for the magnitude of what is actually occurring within and through you. You are remembering a conscious choice made eons ago, in a moment of cosmic clarity so complete and so luminous that no amount of earthly density has ever been able to fully erase its echo from the deepest chambers of your soul. You are honoring a sacred contract, entered into with full awareness and full love, to be a beacon of coherent, activated light during what your star family, your divine council, and the Ashtar Command have always known would be humanity's most profound, most pivotal, most irreversible transition. You are not here to fit into old paradigms that were built on frequencies of separation and fear and the systematic suppression of human divinity. You were never designed to be understood or contained by limiting structures that are already in the process of their own dissolution. You are here to recalibrate reality itself, to be so thoroughly and authentically yourself, so fully anchored in your cosmic truth while simultaneously so fully present in your human life that the reality field around you literally reorganizes in response to your presence. You are a living portal, not a portal that stands apart from life, elevated and untouchable on some spiritual platform, but a portal that walks through supermarkets and sits in traffic and has difficult conversations and feels grief and feels joy, and does the full, beautiful, messy, sacred work of being human with the full consciousness of a galactic being lighting the way from within, a walking frequency generator designed to transmit coherent light and truth directly from the heart of the cosmos into the dense and longing fabric of this dimension. Your unique vibration, now consciously activated and consciously tended, is a gift to the collective field of this planet so specific and so irreplaceable that the collective itself, even the parts that cannot name what they are receiving, registers it, and is shifted by it. This is not a burden. It was never meant to be a burden. It is your magnificent, exquisitely designed, cosmically sanctioned purpose. Embrace it, not as a performance of spiritual identity, but as the most natural, most honest, most fully alive expression of who you have always been. Feel it in the body. Let it settle into the bones. Allow this truth to permeate every cell, every synapse, every breath, until there is no separation left between the cosmic intelligence you carry and the human life you are living, your star family, your divine council, the Ashtar Command. We are all with you, not as distant observers noting your progress from a safe remove, but as an integrated, living part of your expanded consciousness, present in your highest moments and your most challenging ones, celebrating your every remembrance with the joy of those who have loved you since before time had a name. You are home. Right here, in this body, on this planet, in this breath, as you remember who you truly are. Tonight, before sleep, say this aloud. I remember who I am. I align with my star origin. I activate my soul mission with grace and clarity. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what's forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real. Then respond to someone else's with encouragement or energy. This isn't content. It's collective alignment. Energy multiplies when intention connects. If something in this message resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Someone in your orbit is waiting for this exact activation. Share it, and if you felt a soul nudge, subscribe. Stay in the flow. You're not just watching, you're expanding. This is your space, and we're just getting started.